Land acknowledgement. As we gather here, let us remember that we live, work, and worship on the unceded and ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. The Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and maintained respect and harmony with nature for centuries. As Swedenborgians, we share this conviction. We acknowledge the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples for their enduring commitment and stewardship, past, present, and future, of these lands.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Warm welcome to the San Francisco Swedenborgian Church. Thank you for joining us this Sunday to spend a time of sacred time and reflection and meditation. Once a month, we offer a slightly different way of doing church, worship in music and meditation. So our liturgy today if this is your first time here, is a little more stripped down than normal. Our music director has the Sunday off. I'm very grateful that Kimmy Carlton has stepped in sort of at the last minute to provide us with her gifts of music today. So thank you, Kimmy, for stepping in. And this is a time for us all to go into deeper stillness than perhaps we would otherwise do during normal sorts of church. I will be offering short reflections before musical interludes, which will invite you to enter into a space. And I would encourage you as we begin our time together just to be attuned to your body as it's sitting in the creaky Tula Rush chairs, the sound of the fireplace in the back, and to be aware of where you are in your body together. A few announcements before we begin our time together. One is we have a new permanent guest installed in the back garden of the parish house. So I encourage you after the service, if you want to join us for our typical lavish feast of treats and coffee and cookies and the like, there is a marble bust of Emanuel Swedenborg, the mystic who our church draws inspiration and tradition from, in the back garden. You can take a selfie with it even if you feel so inspired. It's a special bust. It comes to us all the way from Ohio, where in the 19th century, a group of radical and progressive Swedenborgians established a project called Urbana University. It was militantly abolitionist during the pressures leading up to the Civil War. It was multiracial, and it was the first educational institution in Ohio that had both men and women studying together. The whole curriculum was based on the arts, a belief that through aesthetics, one could be transformed and changed, an idea that's very important for this space too. Some of you know Urbana. It persisted for many, many decades, over a century. Tragically, COVID did it in. So the COVID crisis meant Urbana finally closed its doors after many years. And their large collection of Swedenborgiana was distributed around the country, and we got one of the Swedenborg busts. So when you look at that bust, you can put your hand on it and sort of feel the time behind it and this tradition of Swedenborgians who cared about a serious moral crisis facing this country, who tried to do things differently in the middle of the 19th century. Second announcement, our registration for the annual retreat is still open. Everyone is warmly welcome to come to that. It will be in beautiful wine country in Sonoma County at the end of August. The theme of this year's retreat is a new beginning, the process of regeneration. And there's some really fantastic speakers who will be talking. Our own Robert Carr, Rebecca Esterson, my colleague, leading workshops. So you can go to the WordPress website and sign up there. Are there any other announcements to make? And I would, as I see Robert standing in the back, the bust is installed thanks to the labor of Robert and deep appreciation. And Peter Gottschalk. Dear friend of the church. Yeah. Who's with the Hillside congregation across the way. Yeah. Very heavy. It required a thing that lifts cars to move the bust onto the plinth or something. Yeah.
We figured the bust weighed almost 400 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, kids should not climb on it. It's not a new playground sculpture. Yeah.
It's very secure.
It's marble. Marble. Yeah. And if you read my reflection in the newsletter this week, that bust is going to outlast all of us, and maybe even the city of San Francisco, right? It's deep time when you put your hand on it. Before we enter our sacred time of meditation and song, let's take a moment to greet one another and pay respect to the divine light we all carry. Is Cole with us today? Thanks for being my liturgist. I need to remember that land acknowledgement. Yeah. Hey, Pierce, what's up? Want to give me a high five? Should we get some singing? Yeah. Oh, it's so sweet. So sweet. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our time in meditation will move in three parts. The first two will be accompanied by music, and we're building up to a final moment of silence with the sound of the gong, which I will speak more to when we come to that moment. For our first reflection, accompanied by the music, I would like us to keep in mind the words of Joseph Worcester, the original minister behind the creation of this beautiful space, who said that this building, must teach its lessons. This church space, through its artistry and aesthetics, should instill some kind of spiritual message. And when Worcester said that, he was drawing deeply on Swedenborg's idea of correspondences, that all of the natural world is a giant language, another holy book written by the divine through which we can learn things. And we find that reflected in this space that is full of the natural world. From the madrone trees with the bark left on that hold up the roof, to the found objects early parishioners brought in, driftwood from ocean beach, rocks. And in the time of music that now follows, come into your breath and allow your eyes to settle on something in this space and dwell on it. Is there a lesson, something you can see that can take you somewhere within that might have a correspondential resonance behind it? So let us take a moment to come into our breath. You can breathe in deeply with me. In and out. One more time. And out. And as the music plays, look for the lessons around you in this space.
Today's first reading is from Isaiah 58. Shout it aloud, do not hold back. Raise your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their rebellion, and to the descendants of Jacob their sins. For day after day they seek me out. They seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the commands of its God. They ask me for just decisions and seem eager for God to come near them. Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not seen it? We have humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed. Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all of your workers. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife, and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast? A day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, "Here am I." If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and the malicious talk, if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land. He will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord. And I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken.
Amen. I would like to invite any kids to come up for a little moment and reflection, those who are awake and not sleeping in their mother's arms. And you don't have to come if you don't want to. I do have something, if it's a new kid here, in this shell right here, that's a gift, actually. You can come with your mom, too, if you want. But it's okay. So, well, I will pass the gift. Last Sunday with the kids, we talked about this really old shell. You see this right here? What do you think this is? What lived in this? A giant clam. And this shell is hundreds of years old. Hundreds and hundreds of years old. So last Sunday we talked about, the sense of time you get from touching old stuff like this. And I was at the beach last month for 2 weeks, and I collected a lot of these. So we talked about these special shells. So this is for you. This is a sand dollar, which is very, very, very old. So for the kids,
Tell me when you're finished.
I'll tell you when I'm finished. Yeah. What does it mean to be blessed? This is a question we can think of. Children are blessings. It says again and again in the scriptures that children are blessings that are given to parents to watch over. And in the next passage that Rosanna is going to read out loud, there's a lot of words about blessings, what it means to be blessed. So I invite children young and those young in heart who are older looking, as Rosanna reads the words, to think of where they find themselves in that catalog of blessedness from the Sermon on the Mount in the Gospel of Matthew.
Second reading is from Matthew 5, 2-11. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And from Swedenborg's writings, every person who has religion knows and acknowledges that whoever who leads a good life is saved and heaven-bound, and that whoever leads an evil life is damned. For they know and acknowledge that the person who lives aright and thinks aright, not only about God, but also about their neighbor, but not so the person whose life is evil, who is focused only on the love of themselves, as well as the love of possessing material things. The life of a person is their love, and whatever we love, we not only like to be doing, but we also like to be thinking about. The reason, therefore, why we say the life of religion is to do that which is good is because doing, acting what is good acts as a unifier with thinking what is good. For if in a person these two things do not act as one, the doing and the thinking, they are not of their life.
Thanks to Rosanna for reading so eloquently this morning, especially the Swedenborg. 18th century Latin doesn't translate well into our 21st century English vernacular. The life of religion is to do good. What does that mean for you, where you are in your life, in your relationship with others? Was there something you noticed new or differently or thought of in our first meditation as we were sitting with the music and looking around the room at one thing? By default, when you sit in this pretty uncomfortable chair on the altar, your gaze goes right to that window above the three candles, which shows St. Christopher. So as the music was playing, I was looking at this probably anecdotal, miraculous story about helping others. The little baby that needed to be taken across a great body of water, and as Christopher carried that baby, his body became heavier and heavier and heavier because it was Jesus taking on sin, suffering, evil of the world. We like to think sometimes this window was made for Joseph Worcester, the minister who helped build this church, because of his commitment to helping children, the many homeless children of San Francisco, especially after the earthquake and fire at the dawn of the 20th century, and his commitment to building orphanages and homes and programs that would aid them. The reading from Isaiah is full of a pleading and call for justice, for restitution, for walls to be fixed, to hear the cries of the poor and the oppressed, to feed the needy and the hungry. The life of religion is to do good. There are examples of doing, clear and explicit instructions. How would you translate that call into your life, into your relationship with others? Heeding the needs of those around you. For our next reflection with music, I would invite you to turn to those well-known words from the Sermon on the Mount, from the Gospel of Matthew, about blessedness. Select the one that resonates most with you right now where you are. Maybe it's, blessed are the poor in spirit. Maybe it's the one about seeking for righteousness and justice. Turn those words as a mantra as you hear the music. Say it softly to yourself, over and over, slowly and simply in your head, and hold it in your heart. You can take a moment to think about which of the blesseds in the Sermon on the Mount you would like to sit with. Are you mourning? Are you meek? Are you hungry and thirsty for righteousness? Are you feeling merciful? Are you a peacemaker? Are you feeling the need to be a peacemaker? The music we will listen to on this holding Jesus' words in our heart is special. It's well known. It's Bach's Goldberg variations. This particular aria comes from the Sarabande tradition. And those of you who study music history probably know how special that particular kind of music is. It comes from Latin America during Spanish colonization. And originally the Sarabande was a very fast dance that moved bodies, and it was sort of scandalous in the European courts in the 16th and 17th centuries. But then it slowed down, and by the Baroque period, and then when Bach began to write his music, it was a much more stately, slow, moving in three parts kind of affair. There are traces of this contact through colonization with Latin America in the Sarabande as an art form. And it's a reminder that we are always transformed by others if we are open to it. So maybe be thinking of that history too, as we have Bach's Goldberg variations accompanying us on a journey with one of the blesseds. Let us now enter into that space of reflection. I hope you found a home in one of the blesseds. Perhaps keep that in front of you in the week that will unfold. Our third contemplation will move in two parts. I will begin, after giving a bit of a preface, with striking this gong right here. And after several minutes of moving with the sound of the gong, we will enter a space of silent, deep meditation. And again, that's a moment to attune yourself to your body, the sounds. Close your eyes if you wish, and to be present in this space. If the life of religion is to do good, as Swedenborg says, it is also a question of what do you love? Behind that statement, the life of religion is to do good, to live good, is a question of what do you love? Do you love others? Do you love the divine, however you conceive of God? For Swedenborg, it's often love and wisdom that flows and pours into us. How do you get over a selfish love of yourself, your ego, your pride, your ambition, and a love of things in this world that block and prevent us from feeling, seeing, hearing the love of God, the love of others? That dynamic of moving away from selfishness outwards to others is beautifully put in the prophet Isaiah that Rosanna read out loud. And I'm just going to read part of that prophecy again. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, if you do away with the pointing finger and the malicious talk, and if you then spend yourselves on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. As a Californian now entering fire season, the line about the sun-scorched land resonated with me on a literal level. At a deeper level, how are you spending yourself on behalf of others? What do you love? As we move into a space of moving with the sound of the gong and then silence, allow the silence to be a space to answer that question. In the week to come, what or who will you love? If you are joining us for the first time for our worship and meditation, this gong is very special. It comes from 17th century Japan. It belonged to William Keith, the painter who made the paintings to our left. William Keith was deeply read in Swedenborg, and he felt like there were colors to the sounds of the gong. What is the color of your love as you enter this space of sound from the gong and silence? What hues are behind your intentions in the week to come? We will now enter the space of sonic stillness and silence to follow. This is the moment in our service where we have a chance to give mindfully. This is not pay to pray. As the offertory bags make their way around the room, I would invite you to think, what will you love in the week to come? Can you be a gift in somebody else's life in some way? Is there a phone call, a presence as a listening ear, a smile to the cashier, something you can do this week that can be a moment of blessedness in somebody else's life? And even if you're not giving, as the basket passes through your hands, think of that intention mindfully. O Holy One, great Creator, we give thanks for the generosity of this group of people gathered on this Sunday. May you bless these gifts so that this church may be a loving presence in this city, in this moment of pain and suffering. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace. Amen.
Amen.